During the many years of my hell, I was never hit. I would have preferred it though. I would have liked to be beaten, bruised, and sore. I wish I had wounds so I could show them to the world and say and scream, "Look what they did to me." It has not been the case. I was only wounded in my soul. Those words, they were found in my sister's diary after she committed suicide due to bullying at school. She was facing fat phobia and homophobia, and she hadn't told anyone in the family. Like my sister, in England, 19% of students between 10 and 15 are victims of bullying, cyberbullying, or both. This is a story of 1 in 5 teenagers in England. And like my sister, 60% of students victims of bullying do not talk to their families. They isolate and wall themselves into silence and depression. Bullying is the act of hurting someone repeatedly and intentionally, verbally, physically, or psychologically. It has always existed, but today the phenomenon kills far more because of cyberbullying. Suddenly, you don't have 1, but 10,000 people that are mocking you on their phone. You lose self-confidence, and you will take years to recover. You feel too small, too inadequate, while in reality, you have not done anything wrong. This can happen to absolutely anyone. This is not your fault. And still, as most victims, you feel responsible. And often, this trauma will continue to impact your life socially, professionally, and mentally. I run the Instagram account Agathe en parle precisely to fight bullying. Last summer, I received the following message. I'm 60, and when I was in high school, I was bullying a student. We all decide that we hate him. We turn his life to a living hell. Still today, I don't understand why we did this, and still today, I feel ashamed. I turned 60 this summer, and this is the first time that I talk about this. This is how bullying destroys life, for the bullies and for the bullied, and for their siblings like me. You know, I was very close to my sister. We grew up together in south of France. We were playing together in the garden. We were baking lemon cakes on Sundays. When we grew up, we could not see each other as often because I was living abroad. But she was always visiting for the holidays. And one day, I was living in Singapore, at 10,000 kilometers from my home, and it was my birthday. I was waiting for her call because, in my family, we always call each other on birthday. But she didn't call. I wait all day, too proud to call first. At midnight, my phone rang. It was not my sister. It was my father. He was crying. And finally, he told me, "Your sister killed herself." I came back home as fast as I could, but it was too late. It was a funeral. And I wish that no other person has to go through this journey. My sister had a dream. She dreamed to be a writer. She worked so hard all her life to be a writer, but she didn't have the chance. So when I had to empty her flat, under the bed, I found her diary. And I published it as a novel, Le Livre de Liane, because she had documented all the bullying she had experienced from when she was 10 years old, facing the first insults, until when she was 21, and she was fighting to recover. Her novel has been used in many schools in France to fight bullying, and her words have been printed on a postcard, and thousands of students all over Europe have written supportive messages to fight bullying. Victims can be heard. These words can change everything because words can heal us too. I came here to help you to see the cards that you have in your hands, to say that you can have a real positive impact from today. Of course, when you stand in front of others, you have to take a risk. It's easier to do nothing. It's safer to do nothing. But picture this. You see someone being bullied, and you stand up for them by just saying that this is not okay. And you speak up and defend them, even if you are scared. If you find this courage inside yourself, how will you feel on the evening? How will you feel in 5 years, knowing that every time someone was mocked by the class, in class or on TikTok, that you react and did the right thing? That you helped them to see that they belong. Courage helped me to understand that the bullies, as much as the bullied, are victims too. Courage helps us to accept, apologize, and repair. And by repairing others, we can repair ourselves just as much. So I would like you to think, in 5, 10, or 15 years from now, when you look back to your time at school, what do you want to remember? Do you want to remember that you say, this is not okay to the bullies? And I'm here with you to the bullied kids. Thank you.